Summer nights feel calm until something sinister breaks the silence. Noises under the floor, a car that shouldn't be there, and a figure in the woods. 3 stories of ordinary nights turning into unforgettable terror. These are true summer horrors you'll never shake off. Story number 1. The sounds beneath the floor. It was the last week of summer before I left for college. My parents had already taken off on vacation, and I had the entire house to myself. At first, I thought I'd enjoy the quiet. No nagging, no rules, just me and my thoughts. But the silence in that old house carried a weight of its own. My dad had given me a reminder before they left. He said, "Remember, son, our house doesn't have a basement, just a crawl space. Don't go snooping around." I nodded it off, figuring he just meant it wasn't worth exploring. The first few nights were normal enough until Tuesday. Around midnight, just as I was about to drift off to sleep, I heard it. A tapping noise. At first, faint, like something gently drumming on wood. But it wasn't coming from the walls or outside. It was coming from beneath me, from under the floor. I froze in bed, straining my ears. The tapping grew louder, rhythmic, deliberate. I told myself it was the house settling, or maybe raccoons. But the thing is, my room was on the second floor. There shouldn't have been anything under me but open air. The next night it came again, and this time it wasn't just tapping. There was scratching, dragging. Like something with claws was raking the underside of the floorboards, pulling itself along. I pressed my face into the pillow, trying to drown it out, but it didn't stop. It only got closer. By morning, I was convinced I was imagining things. My dad's voice echoed in my head. Crawl space, not basement. Still, I couldn't shake it. So I called him and told him what I'd heard. He brushed it off. Probably a stray animal got under there. Just check the crawl space. That afternoon, I went outside, knelt under the porch, and found the crawl space entrance. It took me 10 minutes just to pry it open. Inside was nothing, just dirt, dust, and cobwebs. No animals, no tracks, no reason for those noises. I felt foolish, until I noticed something odd behind a pile of wood in the yard. Hidden beneath warped boards and weeds was a door. A storm cellar door I'd never seen before. Rusty hinges, paint peeling, but it was locked from the outside. My heart pounded as I forced it open. A set of concrete steps led downward. Against my better judgment, I went in. The air was damp and sour. At the bottom was a basement, a real basement, lined with concrete walls and wooden support beams. Scattered across the floor were empty food cans, plastic bottles, and a thin mattress. On one beam were deep scratches, tally marks, dozens, maybe hundreds of them. And the walls, God, the walls. They were covered in drawings, distorted faces, animals with too many limbs, people with hollow eyes. Some smeared in something that looked disturbingly like blood. I bolted back up the stairs and slammed the cellar door shut. That night, the noises came back, louder than ever. Not tapping now, but pounding. Heavy fists slamming against the floorboards, the sound of someone or something trying to break through. When I worked up the courage to look out the window, I caught a glimpse of a figure retreating into the woods. Tall, hunched, moving unnaturally fast. We had the door resealed, chained, and padlocked when my parents got home. But even now, miles away at college, I still wake in the dead of night, half expecting to hear the sound of fists slamming beneath me. Story number 2. The car that wouldn't leave. The road I take home every summer is long and lonely. 2 lanes stretched across miles of farmland with nothing but telephone poles and fields on either side. I'd driven it so many times that I stopped noticing the details until the day I saw the car. It was a pale blue sedan parked on the shoulder. No hazard lights, no driver inside, just sitting there in the hot sun. I slowed as I passed, but there was nothing unusual about it. Maybe someone had gone to get help. But the next morning, when I drove the same route, the car was still there. Same spot, same angle. Only this time, the driver's side door was hanging wide open. Something about that made my stomach twist. It didn't feel like a breakdown anymore. It felt abandoned. That evening, I called the non-emergency police line. They said they'd check it out. A day later, I saw the local news. A man was missing. His car matched the one I'd seen. I should have left it there, but curiosity and guilt gnawed at me. I called my brother, who works as a firefighter, and told him everything. Within a week, he convinced me to help in a volunteer search group. We gathered near the area where the car had been found. About a dozen of us combed through brush and farmland, calling the man's name. That's when one of the officers pointed out something in the trees. A weathered shack, hidden by overgrowth. It looked like it hadn't been touched in years, but the door had been forced open recently. Inside were water bottles, food wrappers, and a filthy blanket on the floor, like someone had been living there. But what made my skin crawl was a hole in one of the wooden beams. A small, perfect hole, like a bullet had passed clean through. The wood around it was darkly stained. We searched every inch, but found no trace of the man. No blood, no body, just that eerie shack with signs of life and something violent. When I returned a week later out of morbid curiosity, the shack was gone. I don't mean collapsed, I mean gone. The brush was untouched, the ground smooth, like it had never been there at all. I never saw the pale blue car again. But sometimes when I drive that road at dusk, I swear I see a figure standing at the tree line, watching. Story 3. The Thing in the Woods. Camping alone has always been a tradition for me. My dad used to take me when I was younger, and when he passed, I carried it on by myself. Last summer, I chose a remote clearing deep in the forest. No marked trails, no other campers. Just me, my tent, and the silence of the wild. The first night was peaceful. I cooked over a small fire, watched the stars, and drifted to sleep to the sound of crickets. The second day, I hiked down to a nearby river. On my way back, as dusk settled, I noticed a light flickering between the trees. At first, I thought it was another camper with a flashlight. Relieved, I called out, "Hello!" The light froze. Then it blinked out. A moment later, something big crashed through the brush, fast and heavy, but I couldn't see what it was. My heart pounded as I hurried back to camp. That night, I tried to sleep, but I woke to the sound of footsteps circling my tent. Slow, careful, then silence. I lay there for what felt like hours, clutching my pocket knife. Around 3 a.m., I unzipped the tent and stepped outside, flashlight in hand. That's when I saw it. 15 feet away, just at the edge of the clearing, stood a figure. Tall, thin, completely still. It had no light, no pack, nothing but the vague shape of a man. I shouted, "Who's there?" The figure let out a scream, high-pitched, human, but wrong. Then it charged at me. I barely had time to raise the knife as it lunged. Its skin was pale, stretched too tightly over its bones, and its mouth was open far wider than any human's should be. I slashed at its arm and it recoiled, shrieking as it bolted back into the trees. The rest of the night I sat in my tent, shaking, knife in hand, waiting for it to return. It never did. At dawn, I packed my gear and left. I didn't even stop to eat. I told myself it was some deranged hermit, maybe high, maybe sick. But deep down, I know what I saw wasn't human. To this day, whenever I hear twigs snap in the woods, I feel the hair rise on the back of my neck. Because I know something is still out there, watching, waiting. Outro. Darkness never sleeps, and neither do the stories that live in it. If these tales chilled you, like, share, and subscribe for more true horror.